According to the Ministry of Education, 85.8% of students who took the 2023 Primary Exit Profile, PEP, were placed in a school of their choice. We want to congratulate our students and wish them the best of luck as they begin high school in the upcoming academic year. We also thank our parents.
Thank you to all our parents. We know that you've supported your children at different levels, and we appreciate that. It cannot just be the teachers in the schools, it has to be you as well. We call on your support even more so as your students, as your children transition to high school.
Hello and welcome to another exciting edition of Jamaica Magazine. I'm your host, Audrey Williams. We have a lot in store for you today. So stay tuned and don't go anywhere.
Good day, I'm Theodore Henry, and this is your JIS News for Friday, June 30, 2023. A $200 million state-of-the-art therapeutic center has been officially opened at the Maxfield Park Children's Home in St. Andrew. The Child Protection and Family Services Agency CPFSA Therapeutic Center is the first of its kind in the English-speaking Caribbean. It will cater to children in state care aged 12 to 18 years. Its establishment was managed by the Jamaica Social Investment Fund, JSIF, with joint funding from the Government of Jamaica and the Caribbean Development Bank through its Basic Needs Trust Fund. In addition to therapeutic services, the center will facilitate programs specifically designed to curtail the cycle of abuse and violence against children. This will include medical treatment, social intervention guidance, and psychological support for victims of child abuse.
Jamaica's children are in need of more and more available, specialized, and consistent mental health services. So I want you to, just for a moment, reflect on our situation. Of all our children who are in need of mental health services, presently, we are only able to meet 8%. So we are way behind in this area. So this move is even more important. What we're doing here is of great significance.
It will benefit 4,400 youngsters in state care, as well as those in foster care and family reintegration programs, and others in need of psychological and mental interventions. 16,000 children and their families who access the services of the CPFSA on an annual basis will also benefit.
Over the past several years, the CPFSA has provided a variety of services through direct social work intervention and the helplines, which are manned by trained social workers to help support children who have presented with evidence of psychological stress.
Through this initiative, the CPFSA staff will also benefit from a series of training programs. These include 27 social workers and 161 caregivers from 48 children's homes who will be trained in skills to equip them for the workplace. Government will be providing 1,250 scholarships to Jamaicans preparing to become science, technology, engineering, and mathematics STEM teachers. The Ministry of Finance and the Public Service, the Students' Loan Bureau, and the Micro University College signed a Memorandum of Understanding on Thursday, marking the official launch of the scholarship program. The $2.5 billion STEM scholarship program is part of efforts to make Jamaica's workforce globally competitive.
We will have to ensure that we have a STEM competent workforce that can attract the investment that leads to the jobs of the future. And that can only happen if we have well-trained STEM teachers in large numbers.
The scholarships will be provided over 5 years, and recipients will have to fulfill the Government of Jamaica's bonding criteria, which calls for them to teach in the public school system for a defined period. Jamaicans are being called on to become champions for change and help reduce stigma on HIV and persons with the illness. The National Family Planning Board, with the support of UNAIDS, has launched its Champions for Change campaign in support of this call. The campaign features radio, television, and social media ads using the slogan, "We are champions, are you?" 3 ambassadors for change will also be engaged over an initial 6-week period. The Health and Wellness Minister points out that much of the stigma in society is driven by fear, ignorance, lack of tolerance, and absence of compassion. He says the government is making progress in dealing with that in the public health system.
We have seen where persons living with HIV have had challenges in terms of getting equal access, but I believe we have improved.
Dr. Tufton says campaigns such as this provide an opportunity to debunk myths about HIV and address issues of lifestyle choices, which forms an underlying feature of the stigma on HIV. Duty concession on fuel for the bauxite sector has been extended for the next 5 years. This after the House of Representatives on Tuesday approved the Bauxite and Alumina Encouragement Relevant Concession Period Order 2023. Minister of Finance and the Public Service Dr. Nigel Clark told the House that while the bauxite industry continued to make tremendous impact on the economy, the sector needed the concession to remain afloat. Dr. Clark explained that it was determined that except for petrol, the sector continued to require the support provided by the fuel concession.
It has been determined, Madam Speaker, that the sector still requires that support, and a withdrawal of the benefit at this time would have grave financial implications and economic implications for Jamaica, inclusive of potential closures.
He said the relevant engagements were ongoing to encourage the bauxite and alumina sector to reduce its dependence on the type of fuel being utilized based on the government's move to utilize cleaner energy resources in all sectors. The Bauxite and Alumina Industries Encouragement Act was previously amended to grant the duty concession for the period July 1, 2018 to June 30, 2023. The concession on fuel for the bauxite industry was first enacted in 1979 and continuously applied since. And finally, Jamaica has been elected to serve a 4-year term from 2023 to 2027 on the United Nations World Tourism Organization, UNWTO, Executive Council. The decision was made during the 68th UNWTO Commission for the Americas meeting held in Quito, Ecuador. Colombia was also voted to sit on the Executive Council, which is responsible for the management and implementation of strategic decisions carried out by the UNWTO. In welcoming the achievement, Minister of Tourism Edmund Bartlett says being elected alongside Colombia to represent the region is an incredible honor. The minister says he is looking forward to contributing wholesomely to promote tourism as a driver of sustainable economic growth. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Theodore Henry. Thanks for watching.
The following is brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister.
Jamaica is changing right before our very eyes. Across the island, billions are being invested into our road networks, from farm and community roads to major roads and highways. Dozens of communities across the length and breadth of Jamaica are receiving access to reliable potable water for the very first time. And thousands of Jamaicans have become homeowners thanks to the historic shifts in policies of the National Housing Trust, making it easier for Jamaicans to receive funding. Not to mention the record number of houses being built. Never dreamed you would own a home? No matter your circumstance, home ownership is possible for you, thanks to the government's new social housing program specially designed to meet the needs of poor Jamaicans at no cost to them. We are building Jamaica.
The proceeding was brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister.
A budget is a plan you put in writing to determine how you will spend your money over a particular period. I personally find it difficult to stick to mine, but if you're excellent at it, you will be able to get by. Our earnings also support the country's national budget through our taxes, so it's important to understand how that is crafted. Up next, we tell you about interventions by the Ministry of Finance to guide citizens through understanding the national budget.
Over the last few years, the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service has been working on a program to make the national budget more accessible to Jamaicans. The government is accomplishing this in part through the development of a national budget secondary school tour, which ran for 2 weeks in April. A document called A Citizen's Guide to the Budget has also been created to garner greater understanding of the government's revenues and expenditures for a particular period. With $1 trillion in the budget for the fiscal year 2023-2024, a simplified overview of the budget will assist Jamaicans, in this case high school students, to better grasp what the country is doing. Understanding where the money comes from to pay bills, how funds are allocated, and management of the public debt are all explained. Taxes generate most of the country's revenue, with the general consumption tax (GCT) being the main source, followed by income tax, customs duties, and property tax. When raising revenue, it is vital to understand how the cash will be used. This is why Portfolio Minister Naja Clark did the math.
With $1 trillion of budget, about 30% goes into debt service. So let's say approximately 300 billion. Everybody got that? Yes. And then the next biggest item, well, the biggest single item is wages and salaries. And that adds up to about 370 billion. So how much have we gone so far? 300 plus 370, that's about 670, right? The next 15 items overall, after the first three, take us from 700 billion to just about $800 billion. A budget, by necessity, involves intergenerational compromise. That intergenerational compromise has to be fair and equitable. If we tilt it too much in any one direction, it generates inequity in our country. If we take all of the money and we spend it on people who have retired, it means nothing for today or for tomorrow. If we take all of our money and we spend it on things today, we just put it in salaries, which is just for today, then it means we have no investment for the future. And you, students of today, represent our future. One of the best ways for us to invest in our future is through capital expenditure. And capital expenditure means expenditure, the fruits of which last for a long time, right? So when we build a new school, that is capital expenditure. That's investing for the future. A new hospital, a new highway. One of the most challenging things to do in a budget exercise is to make sure that we achieve the appropriate balance between yesterday, today, and tomorrow. For a young country, a country with so many persons under the age of 25, I would argue that investing for tomorrow ought to be a major consideration in every budget exercise. A very important part of our budgetary provisions is to make sure that our education system continues to turn out competent and qualified individuals. As we seek to improve our economy and to grow economic output, the surest way to do that is through investment in human capital development, right? It is the productivity of the individual citizen that will ultimately determine the productivity of the overall society. So ensuring that each one of you has what you need to learn is critically important. And the budget is geared towards making the necessary provisions that each student in Jamaica can have what he or she needs in order to learn. Because our future depends on you.
To find out more about the country's budget, visit the Ministry of Finance and the Public Services website at www.mof.gov.jm.
The heat, the dryness, and the desperate need for some cool air. All signs that summer is near. School doors are about to be locked, and parents may not know what to do with their flock. Well, here's a summary thing to do. Register your child in the Jamaica 4-H Club's summer camp at the Denby 4-H Center. It's happening under the theme, Using Agriculture to Promote Discipline. The camp will run from July 10 to 15 for children aged 12 to 18. Come prepared to have lots of fun and participate in activities such as Culture Night, Sports Day, agro-related training, agro-processing lab experience, and farming, to name a few. Register now at any 4-H parish office.
Did you know summer 2023 officially started on June 21? Bet you can feel it, right? Summer is when many of us head outside more. But with these recent high temperatures, you might be searching for an outdoor activity that's on the cooler side.
A land with a blue depth of Caribbean Sea embracing its shores, with trees shading your backs, with the wind gusting through the branches to play a reggae beat on our skins, and above all, a land with a tropical climate. It's warm weather all year round, but with a slight variation between summer, winter, and a little more variation between hot and cold, just cool enough. This is Jamaica, and this is a cool summer in Jamaica. If you want to experience a cool Jamaica this summer, an ideal place to be would be cool Mandeville, but not just anywhere in Mandeville, Marshall's Pen Great House. And this is where my next summer stop took me.
We're at my home and private nature reserve, which is Marshall's Pen in Mandeville. So Marshall's Pen is located north of Mandeville, in a village called Miketown. It's like the rest of Mandeville. It's a little bit cooler, not as cool as it used to be, but it's still cooler than Kingston.
This natural reserve supports many endemic and rare species of plants, birds, and reptiles. So if you're keen on learning about the beauty of nature, then you'll fall in love with this 18th century property.
Marshall's Pen is unique because of its location with mid-level forest, and to be so close to Mandeville and still have a lot of good quality forest. Jamaica has altogether 30 species of endemic birds, and 23 of those can be found right here. So as far as possible, I try and grow endemic and native species in the garden. So some of them are found here naturally, and some I bring from other places. Some examples are the Pitcairnia bromeliad, which I brought here from Dolphin Head. It has some lovely red flowers and attracts hummingbirds. There's also the vervine, which has pink flowers and attracts hummingbirds as well. Very, very pretty. We also have some herbaceous plants like ramgoat dashilong. It's called that because it's reputed to have the quality of natural Viagra. A lot of people drink it. I don't. But yes, so the scientific name is Turnera ulmifolia. So also in the garden we have some very large and very old trees, and they're covered with bromeliads and orchids and other sorts of epiphytic plants that grow on the tree but don't damage it. And many things live inside those plants. So we have the whole ecosystem in the tree. Royal palm trees are also endemic. They're another good bird feeding tree. The fruits are loved by things like white crowned pigeons or ball pates. We have one of Jamaica's prettiest lizards here. if people can think of a lizard as pretty. I do. And that's the Graham's anole. The scientific name is Anolis grahami, and it's endemic to Jamaica. It's not found anywhere else, but it has different colours across the island. So here it's turquoise and orange and green and blue. We have 3 different hummingbirds in the garden: red-billed streamer tail, the vervain hummingbird with the smallest, which is almost the smallest bird in the world, and also the mango hummingbird, which is larger than the streamer tail but dark and has some red colour. We also have lots of butterflies, dragonflies, and beetles, but one interesting one is the brightly coloured orchid bee, which is a turquoise colour, and you'll see it in my garden. You'll see it not so much on orchids but on the anthuriums, where it's collecting the pollen from the flowers of the anthurium, and it's going to use the scent to attract other bees.
This isn't only a place to enjoy the gifts of nature. Learn some more about our history as you enjoy this summer, like what it might have been like in the time of coffee, or the features of historic building designs.
The house was built probably in the early 1800s, and it has a traditional style of building. It had a wooden frame made out of Jamaican hardwoods like bullet and cedar, and the corners are made out of cut stone, and the spaces between them are filled in with what they call Spanish wall, which is made out of stones and red dirt, what they call red dirt mortar. Well, if you're walking around, you can also see the barbecues, which doubled then as now as a place to catch water. So there's no surface water here, so we have no springs, no wells, no other source of water but rainwater. And that's all caught on the roof and on the barbecue areas around the house, which are in the traditional style. And they were also used for drying coffee because this was a coffee property. Coffee really ended in the 1840s, and since then it's been a cattle property.
But the coffee storage house is now a cottage, so you can definitely stay over and enjoy eco-tours like bird watching, and
a lot of writers, bird watchers and artists love to come here to enjoy themselves, especially in the summer when it's cooler.
And just like that, a cool summer can be had in our Jamaica. There's somewhere here fitting for just about any temperature you'd like to experience.
Here at Millennium Kids, we love, care and protect our children, and we're always getting involved in their day-to-day lives, in their day-to-day activities. How we do so is that we will not attack them with questions, but try to build a conversation in which we can relate to whatever they are going through. Sometimes they might just come to the office, which is very regular, with various challenges. And when they come, I always provide that support. The teachers do as well. Sometimes they might just need a hug. Sometimes they might just need just to let them feel special. Sometimes it's just to give them extra lunch money or extra lunch or a snack or so forth. Just to let them know that we are here and they can confide in us and they can just come to us for anything at all.
The early childhood students at their age level, they are very playful and they love to touch each other and to do different things. So there are many times when they will have conflicts in the classroom amongst themselves. So what I will do, I will ensure that I listen to each child's problem or concern, and then I will know how to deal with the situation.
For the bigger students, we realized that isolation is one of them. They tend to shy away from speaking to their peers or to persons at home. So us as teachers, we normally identify that situation where we pull closer to them in one, asking them questions, be playful to them, and also have that bond where it is okay for them to come to us as teachers and speak to us. We have students get angrily very easy. So therefore, when we realize that, we would observe them. After observing them, we will ensure that we put things in play. We instill in them to be loving, caring, sharing, and also to be respectful to their peers. Not only their peers, to their teachers. We are very attentive to what they say, what they do, and we listen to them.
We never asked to enter this life. We knew nothing of misery and strife. You call us here on your own, so please don't leave us alone.
Setting things right, this Honorable House passed legislation against sexual harassment. My intention is to set Monday, July 3 as the commencement date of the Sexual Harassment Act.
For years, there have been complaints about sexual harassment, and we did not have a legislation to address this, and so persons were suffering in silence.
Know that the act is here. It says if you harass someone, you will pay.
The law comes into force on July 3, meaning everybody is required now to take it seriously.
Everyone should know that there is a process. You have been harassed, you go to HR.
Give them all the information that is possible, when it happened, where it happened, all the details if there's anybody was a witness.
HR has 2 days in which to inform the person that there's been a complaint against them. They have 14 days in which to do an investigation. And if nothing is done, the person can now take their complaint to the tribunal.
If the case is brought before the tribunal and the person is found guilty, the penalty for that is up to $1 million Jamaican dollars or imprisonment.
The tribunal is housed within the Ministry of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport. Persons can know that if they have a complaint, they can go to the tribunal. It will be taken seriously and it will be confidential.
We've reached the end of our program. Get a recap of everything you saw here and more on our website, jis.gov.jm. And in the words of Fernando Flores, great work is done by people who are not afraid to be great. I'm Audrey Williams. Bye for now.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.